Don't get it twisted. Influence is not the problem, because influence is how wisdom is birthed, how movements breathe, how truth travels from one generation to the next. So yeah, Jesus was an influencer, but so was Hitler. And if that feels like blasphemy, it's only because you've been taught to associate influence with good intentions. And that's dangerous, because influence doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your attention. And once it has it, it writes the rest of the story. Now, what made Hitler so dangerous wasn't just the evil in his heart. It was the precision in his methods, the scale of his reach, the mastery of influence that moved an entire nation, moved them into obedience, compliance, and violence. And here's the part you don't want to hear. It's real easy to look back from a distance and say, nah, never me. I would never. But that is hindsight bias. It's the Monday morning quarterback thinking you'd call the right play in a game you've never actually been in. But you're not immune to the mechanics, because influence doesn't need your permission to work. It only needs your participation. And because you've never trained yourself to see it, you can't even recognize when it's happening to you. Like right now. So let's break this all the way down, because history already ran the experiments to prove your compliance. We'll start with the Milgram Experiment, ran in 1961. Now, Stanley Milgram wanted to know if people would obey an authority figure even when it meant harming another person. Let that sit. Now, 2/3 of the participants, ordinary, decent people, they were willing to administer what they believed were lethal shocks just because a man in a lab coat told them to. And they did this until they shocked people to death. Translation: obedience to perceived authority can override your own conscience. Then there's the Stanford Prison Experiment, held in 1971, where Philip Zimbardo split volunteers into guards and prisoners. Within days, guards became abusive and prisoners became passive and broken. Roles rewrote their identities. Translation: the role you accept can dictate who you become, even when it contradicts who you were before. Then there's hindsight bias, the human tendency to look back and believe you would have acted differently than those in history's tragedies. But you are lying to yourself. You are inside a tragedy now. The fact you can't see it is proof you are already under the influence. So here's the reality. The crisis of self didn't show up yesterday or last year. It's been here every generation, in wars, prejudices, slavery, addiction, and distraction. The only thing that changes is the clothing it wears. And today it's dressed as algorithms, curated authenticity, and self-help culture that trains you to need help forever. So you see, you think you're building you, but you are building their version of you. And you've been assigned the role of follower, consumer, and algorithmic believer. You've played it so well, you've forgotten it's a role at all. So here's what Do You Rules does differently. Here, we don't just break you out of the role, we train you to author the role. We teach you to see the influence and then influence the influence. Because influence itself is not evil, but unconscious influence is generational suicide. And that's not just about you. That's about your great-grandchildren, who will either thank you for the choices you made under this influence or spend their lives healing from them. So let me ask you this plain. What role are you playing? Who's giving the orders? And when your lineage, your family looks back on this era, will they say, we came from someone who remembered, or we came from someone who complied? So yeah, don't get it twisted. You are under the influence, and pretending you're not is the fastest way to stay there. So join us. Train it, govern it, author it, or it will write your story for you and call it your life. You own it or be owned by it. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.